Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. And this is actually a follow-up episode. Remember where I reported on the Rochester shooting with the 14 wounded, 2 killed? So the Rochester Police Department captain has come out. This is on the Daily Wire. And it says, the Rochester Police Department captain unloads on dim policies following mass shooting. Going to vomit if I hear one more politician talk gun laws. See, this is what I was saying. Cops know what the real problem is. They're the ones on the street. Don't listen to these politicians who don't know anything. They have no idea. They're sitting in their little offices and they're guessing and they have their own little agendas. But let's go and read this article from the Daily Wire. This is written by Amanda Prestacamo. Prestiacamo? Close enough. So, during a press conference following a mass shooting in Rochester, New York, on Saturday night, Rochester Police Department Captain Frank Ambino unloaded on Democrat policies, specifically bail reform, for wreaking havoc in the neighborhood. Break from the article, so one little thing you may or may not know about me, I think I've mentioned it a couple times. I used to actually be a bail enforcement agent. I was a bounty hunter. And I can tell you this bail reform does not work. You're not holding them accountable. You're not holding the families accountable. Somebody has to come up with that money to get them out. And that's what gets them back to court. Without that, they're not going back to court. Back to the article. The police captain also seemingly railed at protesters and activists from outside the city for speaking on behalf of a neighborhood they would not even visit, according to Umbrino. The dozens of people he's talked to from the neighborhood, the captain said, want them to get the hell out of the city. BLM, protesters. The average everyday citizen wants you out. But then again, hey, thank you for helping get Trump reelected. The city of Rochester has been subjugated to at times violent protesting for 2 weeks now in response to the death of Daniel Prude, a black man who died in March, about a week following an interaction with the RPD. An interaction that occurred after Prude's brother, Joe Prude, called 911 asking for help. So, with this Daniel Prude thing, he has schizophrenia, he was on drugs, he's spitting at the cops. They put a spit mask on his face. The coroner declared it was suffocation. But if you watch the video, here's what I know about suffocation. I used to be an Army combat medic. You don't suffocate a week later. You suffocate right then and there. So I don't know what the hell that coroner was thinking. But chances are he voted for Hillary and he's going to vote for Biden. I'm saying that right now. The mass shooting on Saturday night killed Jarvis Alexander and Joaquilla Young, 2 teens who had just graduated high school. Mr. Umbrino said the teens were likely not targets, but collateral damage following some sort of verbal altercation. Gang violence has also not been ruled out. 16 people ranging in age from 17 to 23 were shot in total. And I bring this back to the black community and our what we put out in our music. The whole gangster rap thing it's over. It's over. You're not reporting from the streets. You're making stuff up, and you're driving these kids to do the stuff you talk about in your songs. I'm looking at you, T.I., you worthless piece of shit. I'm not surprised by the violence that's been taking place, Umbrino said at the Sunday press conference. You know, I'm going to get in trouble, probably for this. But if I hear one more politician talk about what we need to do to stop the violence, we need more gun control laws. We need this. We need that. Quite frankly, I'm going to vomit. These people who say that have no idea what they're talking about. Break from his quotes. So, that's exactly what I said in an earlier video when I first reported this. They have no idea. Not only do they have no idea, they really don't care. They just want to push their agenda. I'm not even going to say this, they have no idea. They want to push their agenda. So, back to the quote. We have a lot of gun laws currently on the books that we don't enforce. I shouldn't say we don't enforce. We enforce them. But you have individuals locked up for illegal handguns and being released from custody the next day, he explained. That's disgusting. How does that happen? So if anybody's surprised that there's been an uptick in violence since we don't enforce the current gun laws that we have, I don't know what to tell you. But those are the facts. Umbrino continued. These politicians want to say we need more gun laws. We need this, we need that. Do me a favor. Just stop talking because you really don't know what you're talking about. End quote. This is exactly what I was saying earlier. You don't see police calling for more gun control laws. They want the ability to put somebody into jail. They're going to face sentence and they're going to stay there and they're going to do their time. That's how you prevent violent crime. Not by like you raised your kids saying everything is going to be all right and nobody can ever tell you no. This is actually how you prevent violent crime. These are criminals. Quote, come ask anybody that lives in these neighborhoods, the police captain said. I've had conversations over the last 3 weeks with dozens of people who live in these neighborhoods. They don't believe any of the stuff you're saying. There needs to be accountability. Ambino then called out Democrats' so-called bail reform in New York. Bail reform, in my opinion, as a 30-year veteran in law enforcement and working in the city of Rochester for the last 30 years, bail reform has a significant impact on the amount of crime and the uptick in crime that's been occurring in our community and throughout New York State, he asserted. Look at the numbers. The numbers are terrible. And anybody that says bail reform is not part of the blame, and that is fooling themselves. And stop telling us that. Later in the press, Ambino called for more people in the neighborhood to stand up, slamming outside influences, whom he did not explicitly name for causing residents suffering. I will name them. That is Black Lives Matter. That's Antifa. It's in New York, right? That's de Blasio. That's the Cuomo, the governor. That's AOC. That's the squad. Because look at all these liberal-run cities. This is what they've come to. This is what they are. Is that where you want to live? I'm saying if you want, like I said in the earlier video, you want to save the Democrat Party, then you have to actively vote Trump and vote Republican to let these people know you're not going to let them take over your party and turn your country into a shithole. Quote, we don't need to hear from people who don't live in the neighborhood, he said. We don't need to hear from you what those neighborhoods need because you have no idea, because you won't even walk down those neighborhoods. The people who we need to listen to are the ones who live on these streets. Because I've been talking to a lot of them the last 3 weeks. They are sick and tired of what's going on. And they're the ones that are suffering because other people are pretending to know how to solve the problems. End quote. Even if you look at, I think it was Minnesota with Kim Kelsick, Joy Behar is going to tell her how to solve the problem. The black problem. But Kim was actually walking those streets. Not only has Joy never been in those streets, Joy's not going in those streets. Let's just be real about it. I mean, why not be honest, right? Asked if he was referring to protests, Ambino answered, nope. I'm just talking about life in general. I'm not going to get into everything. People in the neighborhood are getting frustrated. I feel their pain. Fortunately, they work every day, 12 hours a day. They got families to feed, so they don't have time to be as vocal as they'd like to, he added. And that is one of the things. You see, you got these liberals out here, and these are, how many trust fund babies have been arrested already? Rich white kids that live off their parents' money and don't have to work. These are average, everyday working people. And that's what the Republican Party is saying to you. See, because now they have those people, Democrats. And what are you going to do about it? You're so out of touch, it's ridiculous. You got AOC, who's a Brooklyn girl, even though she grew up in a gated community with well-to-do parents. You're falling for it. And you've handed Trump the next election. But let's go on with the article. What they are telling these people, he revealed, is that they want them to get the hell out their city, seemingly taking another shot at the outside protesters and activists. And Ambino said he hopes the names of the two teen victims from Saturday night are remembered. It's a tragedy. Unfortunately, it's another innocent person that's gunned down for absolutely no good reason whatsoever. It's heart-wrenching when you have innocent people getting killed, Ambino said. I just hope a month from now, everybody remembers these names. So, and that was from the Daily Wire, and that's what I keep telling you guys, is that you've let the liberals hand over the election to Donald Trump because you're so far out of touch. You don't care about the American people. Let's just be honest. So I just wanted to read you that there to back up what I was saying earlier. And keep in mind, this statement hadn't come out when I said that in the previous video, is that you don't hear cops calling for more gun control laws. You hear cops calling for the laws on the book to be enforced, because these liberal DAs and judges won't enforce them. They turn these criminals right back out on the streets, like Charlie Daniels said. It just is what it is. So, all right, thank you for watching this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. Just something that touched me very much, and it proved my point. Also, remember, it's Gina Carino Day. Yay, Gina. So, thank you. Hit like, subscribe. Do what you have to do.